Welcome to the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. Just like you, I'm an independent retail business owner. I love the home decor and gift boutique I co-own with my sister, but I don't want it to consume me or my life. Join me each week as I share lessons learned, helpful tips, and valuable information for your retail business and life. Whether you're buying your products or making your products, whether you're a $25K business or a $2.5 million business, I'm on a mission to help indie retailers work less, profit more, and grow. Let's get started on today's episode. Welcome to episode 143 of the Savvy Shopkeeper Retail Podcast, the 2022 Savvy Shopkeeper Retreat Recap. I'm your host, Kathy Cruz. So I am really excited to share about this year's retreat. I think it'll help answer some questions for you if you've considered the retreat in the past, if you've wondered, is it really worth the investment, which of course I'm going to say absolutely it is. I also want to mention that I'm going to talk about quite a few other small businesses, and I want you to learn about them. I want you to get questions answered, and I just kind of want you to see and feel how this experience all plays out because it's pretty incredible. I've used the word magical before, and I don't know how else to describe it. That sounds so woo, but really it is a magical experience. There's a lot that happens in 2 days. So I'm going to walk through the retreat and talk about it. I think just like play by play, starting with day 1, and then I'll talk about what happened during day 2. And then I'm going to mention all of the incredible small businesses that participated and make this happen. So it would be crazy for me not to kick this off by talking about April and Mike Peterson, who own Fruchthaven Farm, where the retreat has been hosted. I also have to mention their incredible event planner, Kristen. There's no way that this retreat would happen without them, or that, I don't know how else to describe it. It's something pretty cool about the actual property itself and the space between all of the buildings. And we really take over. I'm so excited. I'm over here hitting boxes in my office. We take over the whole entire property. So they have a hygge house. They have a small barn. They have grain bins have been like cut out and kind of cool spots to hang out in. They have a lot of open lawn landscaped areas. They have the big barn where the main parts of the retreat are held. They have an event tent, but it's a beautiful, like you picture tent, but it is a beautiful tent that was beautifully decorated, which I'll be talking about. It's just the ideal space because when I say retreat, I want it to feel that way. I don't want it to be in a stuffy hotel conference room that feels stale. I want people to feel relaxed and inspired by the spaces surrounding them. And that's what the farm does. So I want to make sure that I mention them first. And to Kristen for being she listened so well to me about all of the details and all of the things that I want to focus on, and she makes them happen. Like she takes all of the thoughts from my brain and she turns them into reality, and I'm so grateful for her. She's the sweetest person too. She's always smiling. She never seems stressed. Even when I'm stressed, she's calm and collected, and I'm really grateful for that. Which leads me to the next person that I want to talk about is Maureen of the Collab in Lakewood, Ohio. She also runs and owns the Holiday Pop-Up Shop, Home for the Holidays Pop-Up Shop in Lakewood, Ohio, which is where my store is located. Maureen became a biz bestie years ago. We can't remember how we initially met, but we've been best friends since then, and I'm so grateful for her. She's also a Master Shopkeepers member, and she willingly has attended both retreats so far with me as my right-hand woman. She takes care of so many details when I might be in the background, with the videographer recording some video content, or if I'm getting hair and makeup done, or if I'm working with the tech crew to handle some details, or if I'm just practicing what I want to say in my mind and kind of separate it away from everyone. She helps people feel welcome. Everyone knows they can go to her with questions. She's so helpful to me. She willingly also sat through all three of my main presentations in the hotel room so that I felt fully prepared to present all of that content to the audience, to people that were attending the retreat. So she handles so many little things. And I'm so grateful that she does this and that she keeps me sane during the weekend. I can't even explain how grateful I am for Maureen. And I've said it in the past. I'm like, if she doesn't attend with me at future retreats, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then last but not least, in terms of like kicking off the event, I want to thank my husband and my bonus son, Logan. They traveled to Michigan so that they could be there the morning that I kicked off. They had breakfast with us. Logan was such a ham in the sweetest way. He helped check people in. He gave everyone their swag bags. He kept things organized. He helped Maureen. He was so happy, and he was rewarded with a huge plate of cheesy potatoes for breakfast. It was adorable, and I really appreciate that they were there that morning. Having them there meant so much to me. I'm just really happy they were there. Okay, so let's talk about day one. I have to mention the florist and the decor that was in the space, in the tent, the floral arrangements in the big barn. It was done so well, and I will try to share as many pictures as I can in the show notes so that you can see how beautiful everything was. The one thing that Kristen and I talked about last year that we wanted the tent in particular to feel more homey and comfy and not feel like you were, just sitting in an open tent. And again, the tent is incredible, but we wanted some delicate and sweet touches, and really they nailed it. And the company that did this was called Truer Design. And most of these businesses are local to the Greenville, Michigan area. And we're going to link all of them in the show notes. So if you want to connect with them, if you want to follow them on Instagram, that would be great. I also want to mention our gold sponsor and our only sponsor for the retreat was Wholesale Co-op. Wholesale Co-op is actually a company that was started by the founder of Tundra. Most of you are familiar with Tundra, especially if you're buying, and if you're buying from online wholesale marketplaces. But Wholesale Co-op is a really cool concept in that you visit and sign up for an account. It is a paid account, but you visit and sign up for an account. And as you're buying online from all of these platforms, if you know what brand you're looking to buy from, you can type in the search box for the brand, and Wholesale Co-op will give you results and tell you what is the minimum across all of the platforms, because there are so many online wholesale platforms, and it will give you cash back depending on the order that you place. It will also tell you where will you get the most cash back from on that particular order if you go to that platform and order from them. So a very cool and interesting concept. It's definitely fantastic for any buyer out there. If you're buying for a retail store, if you're buying for your own retail store, I highly recommend checking it out. We'll have it linked in the show notes too. But again, it's Wholesale Co-op. Next, I want to talk about all of the generous group members. I'm pretty sure it's all group members that participated in this. All of the generous group members who donated to the door prizes and the swag bags. I think we had 7 door prize packages, and the swag bags were really cool this year. They were actually lunch totes, but generously sized lunch totes. I actually use mine almost every day. I take it to the store. Logan has one for school, which makes me laugh. But I want to mention all of these companies because I think you should also visit them and follow them on Instagram or Facebook. Okay, so let's kick off with door prize donors. There was Feather and Bloom, Soul Connection, Carthage Olive Oil Company, Abby Kate Home, and Danielle Designs. I think that's how you say it. Danielle, I'm sorry if I said it wrong. I never asked how you say it. All 5 of them are group members. So I really want to say thank you because it's really special to know that the door prizes at this event were donated either by people who attended the retreat or who are other group members who just genuinely wanted to support it and give to other people attending the retreat, which I thought was really sweet. I wish I had time to describe and explain all of the door prizes, but I think what's more important is that I share about them, and we're going to link all of them in the show notes so that you can visit their websites or follow them on social media. Another person who isn't a group member is Instant Boss. Instant Boss is a community of over 10,000 small shop and boutique owners across the world who I think the main objective is to help them grow on social media. So what was donated from Instant Boss is a 1-year membership to their social media group, which I thought was great. And they serve mostly apparel stores. And I have to say, one special moment during the retreat is the person who won this, Katesy of Rough Around the Edges. She's not an apparel store owner, and she went out of her way to re-gift the door prize to someone who is an apparel store owner. And I loved that she gave it to April of Fruchthoven Farm, because April actually owns Pink and Frillo's, which is like the boutique portion of the farm. We all went shopping there while we were at the retreat. So I love that Katesy gifted it to April. There were so many special moments like that during the retreat. And I just thought it was fantastic that she took this package, probably worth $1,000, and she gifted it to April. Again, super special moment. Swag donors, let's talk about them. Mel Marie Skincare, La Petite Maison Antiques. And if I said that incorrectly, I am not good at French. Rough Around the Edges. High Cotton Decor, Danny and Tim Martin, they were able to get swag bag prizes of Sarah's Smoked Specialties. And they were like smoked almonds, little bags of smoked pecans, I think. Those were thrown in the swag bags because of High Cotton Decor. So I want to make sure I mention both. Be Joyful Shop and Embroidery from the Heart. Teresa, who's a Master Shopkeepers member, she embroidered the Savvy Shopkeeper logo on all of the totes, the lunch totes. And another member who donated some hair care products was Laura Newton Hair. We will have them all linked in the show notes too. I also want to mention that LPM Antiques, I'm just going to abbreviate it, LPM Antiques, they actually went to France because they import antiques from Europe. They came back on a trip and had their luggage packed with items for the swag bag. So I thought that was really cool and so thoughtful that they went there intentionally looking for things that they could donate to the swag bag. So thank you to Amanda and Scott for doing that. And for all of the people who make their products and donated them, Mel Marie Skincare wholesales, Rough Around the Edges wholesales, Be Joyful Shop wholesales, Embroidery from the Heart wholesales. And I believe Sarah Smoked Specialties, they wholesale too. So if you're looking to carry any of these products in your stores, please visit the show notes. It'll be savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 143. So you can learn about them, learn about their products, and apply for a wholesale account. All right, so moving on, during the opening remarks, I played a clip from the book E-Myth Revisited, because what I really wanted to convey is how much we were going to focus on foundation. That was the theme of this year's retreat. So that's how I kicked it off. And if you listen to the book on audio or buy the book or rent it from a library, it doesn't really matter. You'll find, I think it's in chapter 4, the way he describes entrepreneurs and the different entrepreneur personalities. It's pretty amusing. I got some chuckles, but I really wanted to convey how much we were going to focus on being entrepreneurs and why it's important to focus on our foundations, even if we've been in business for 5 years and have to go back and kind of start some things from scratch. Then we moved on to the Master Your Mindset presentation. I taught that one as well. And then after that, we broke out into breakout sessions. And I have to give a shout out to the 2 guest instructors, Jessica Thompson of Be Joyful Shop. She was our TikTok and social media guru. And Stacy Schneeber, who is a friend who actually doesn't own her own business, but she is a human resources expert and she provides some really valuable information. So I want to make sure that I mention both of them because they were a huge help, especially in providing content that again focused on some of the foundational things in our retail businesses. And they each taught 2 presentations. And then the last presentation that I did on that day was a Shopkeeper scorecard, which I will probably talk about in the future. So I'm just going to kind of quickly go past that one. This presentation actually came with a really helpful Google Sheet. And it's funny because in my mind, just reading the audience, I thought maybe 1 or 2 people wanted the spreadsheet, and the next day I was proven wrong because so many people started asking, when will we get the spreadsheet? When will we get the spreadsheet? So I'll have to talk about that in the future. But that was the last presentation of day 1. At the end of day 1, we all take a bit of a break. It's an hour-and-a-half break, and people can stay on the property on the farm and hang out, or they can go back to their hotels and freshen up and change. Nothing formal, really casual. And the weather was perfect. The only thing that got in the way were the mosquitoes at sunset. Other than that, I had live music on the patio of the cidery at the farm. And my guest interview for the VIP dinner was Jennifer Luna of the Kind Ship Companies. She owns multiple business or retail businesses, and I knew she's also retail CEO stage, and I knew all of her experiences and everything that she's learned and everything that she's done and the risk taker in her, that it would be really helpful and valuable to have her talk to everyone attending. There's so many people in Master Shopkeepers who respect her. She's humble, she's kind, she's experienced, she has a lot to share. So I loved interviewing her, and I think everyone really enjoyed the interview too. So we had dinner on the patio. We had a vintage camper serving cocktails out of the camper for dinner. And again, the weather was perfect and everyone was so relaxed. Some of the best Instagram reels that came out of this event were from this actual VIP dinner experience. Because it was just such a calm, cool environment. You can tell it just makes me smile. It's a great time because I feel like everyone puts away their notebooks and pens and you just sit there and you listen, and lots of questions were answered by Jennifer. And again, I'm just so grateful that she was willing to do that. It can feel very vulnerable when you're in front of 50 people and when you're in front of 50 other store owners and you're sharing your story. And I appreciate it. Last year, my guest for the VIP dinner was April Peterson. And again, she just shared so much of her journey. And what I love about this is it really is a VIP event because the only people who get access to these interviews are the VIPs who attend. That's what makes them very special people. They are getting exclusive interviews with these shop owners that no one else hears. We don't record it. We don't video record it. And you're only going to capture that information in that moment. Moving on, day 2, I kicked off with my planning presentation. That's when I launched the digital planner. You all heard about that. I think it was like episode 139 or 140. And then that's when we broke out into the Shopkeeper stages, which I talked about last week. And again, I mentioned this last week as well, but I could tell they wanted more time. So I've noted this for future retreat experiences. I want those shopkeepers, when they're breaking out into those specific stages with their peers, I want them to have more time with each other. So I'm definitely going to do that in the future. And then after that, after those breakout sessions, we went over and did the cidery sip and shop. There was some savvy merch for sale, but really the point of that There was a beautiful spread of food that I appreciated, lots of sweet treats, probably way too many carbs for us at that point, also noted. But we hung out in the cidery and just had conversation, and people like were walking all through the Fruchthaven Farm building that has the boutique, it has a cafe, it has the coffee shop, it has the cidery. They have this really cool barber in the space too. He has this incredibly designed and branded barber shop, but not that we were necessarily in there, but it's interesting to see. Everyone just kind of spread out and did their own thing during that time. It was fun. We had a lot of fun. And then during the cidery sip and shop, the video team, I think they were back in Pink and Furlow's April's boutique, set up, and they were asking for volunteers to talk about their experience with Savvy Shopkeeper. And I can't wait to see these videos because Jessica Thompson of Be Joyful Shop and Anne Vigaski, I think it's Vigaski. I feel like I'm so bad with names today, but Anne and Jessica came out giggling and laughing. They said they were impersonating me. If and when I get this video, I'll have to share it on social media or somewhere because I'm sure it's going to be hilarious. But I think what I loved about this is that they were comfortable enough to do that and to laugh with me about it. So I can't wait to see the videos, and for everyone who took the time to go and get interviewed and to share your experience about being a group member. I think that's mostly, really 98% of the people that attended were group members. So if you were interviewed, most likely you were talking about your experience as a group member, and I really appreciate it. So that happened while we were doing the cidery sip and shop. So again, like people were just kind of in and out, very chill, relaxed mood. So I want to mention some of the books that came up, business books that came up during the retreat. I haven't read all of these, and I recorded a podcast episode where I shared some of my own favorite business books, but these are personally on my list. So The Ideal Team Player, and I don't have author names, I just kind of jotted these down so that I could share them with you. The Ideal Team Player, E-Myth Revisited, which I did read mostly before the retreat. Atomic Habits, another one I have read and I really appreciate. I mention this one often. And Radical Candor. So I wanted to make sure I mention those in case you find them helpful. I wish I would have written down the author names, but they'll be easy to find, I'm sure. So some of the other supporting vendors and small businesses that were involved, I have to mention them. So the photographer, Sarah B., I'm so grateful for you if you're listening. So Sarah Byrne Photography, she is my personal brand photographer. She is local in Northeast Ohio. I schedule with her pretty regularly. That's why the social media images that I share are so good. It's because of Sarah Byrne. And last year when I talked to her and asked her, while we were planning 2022, I asked her if she would be willing to travel to Greenville to be the photographer, just because she captures my brand and my vision for images so well. So Sarah B., thank you. She recently shared all of the images from the retreat, and I can't wait to start sharing them. We'll put a lot of them into the show notes for this blog post. But I'm really grateful that she was willing to travel. She has little kids, married, all that stuff, lots of clients, and that she was willing to come to Greenville, Michigan to do this meant a lot to me. The videographer was Unnamed Films. Florist and Decor, I mentioned. Truer Design. Audio visual. This one is a big one. There are so many moving parts and details, technical details that no one considers. And Corporate Live is the name of the company. And they had a team that was fun and funny and really helpful and made me feel going into this that I would have the support I needed during all of this and that I wouldn't have to worry about the technical portion of this. So again, I feel like I learn something every year. I learned some more things about what I need and what I don't need and what attendees would find really helpful. So I plan on making some changes there. But shout out to Corporate Live and that team for making me laugh a lot during the weekend. Yoga, we had aptitude fitness and yoga. She handled a Zen zone in case somebody wanted to take a break and just kind of disconnect from everything. That was like all the way at the back of the farm, really quiet, beautiful setting. And then catering was done by KJ Catering, and some of the catering was also done by Fruchthaven Farm. Entertainment was Grace Thiessen. Everyone, it seemed, really enjoyed her. Everyone was asking her how they could follow her on Spotify. So if you want to follow Grace on Spotify, I highly recommend it. There were quite a few people that asked for that while she was performing. And then the bar services, the vintage bar I've mentioned, they've come back twice now. And I love the service they provide. I love the vibe of the vintage camper. The name of that business is Black Barrel Bar. Fantastic. Okay, so moving on from the small businesses, I want to talk about the transformation that I see in the people that attend the retreat and the kindness amongst each other. And I also want to quote some people because I asked in the pop-up group, I have a small short-term pop-up group for people attending the retreat so everyone can kind of communicate pre and post retreat. And then I closed the group up, and I recently closed it. But I asked them, like, what were some of the things that you saw or experienced during the retreat that you really appreciated? And I'm going to share some of the quotes. The first one is, "What a few days I've had since the retreat, integrating so many thoughts and feelings. I want to thank everyone who was there for every little thing I heard. I had so much to think about. Mostly, why am I not allowing myself to give more attention to my passion? The store, ? I was so envious of everyone at the retreat who were really all in on their retail businesses. I want to be that person. I've drafted a plan to semi-retire by the end of the year. I set a meeting with my business partner to outline how this needs to work, and I plan for us to share it with the leadership team at our quarterly planning session in October. It felt so liberating to even start considering that as a possibility for myself, which is so funny considering I always think I'm an anything is possible kind of person. I missed some pretty obvious limiting beliefs, thinking things had to be the way they are." That one gives me goosebumps. Like, how amazing for this shopkeeper to leave identifying these things and then quickly move forward with taking action so that it could change. That one is so good. Someone else said, "Now that I'm home and have a moment to myself, I want to really say thank you to everyone who was at the retreat for making us feel really welcome. Thank you to your husbands who shared some of their experiences or having been yanked along on this ridiculous ride. Kathy, thank you for building an amazing community, even though you think that's not a skill, because it absolutely is, and it's not nearly as easy as you make it look to build such a positive, uplifting environment. Thank you, everyone who shared the messy realities of their cash flow. The tears were an emotional outpouring while I was writing this message." And of course, some of these quotes are really long, so I'm only, incorporating some or sharing some parts of it. I feel like this episode is already going to be very long, so I'm trying to condense it a bit. But the next person, let's see who else. Oh, one quote was from me. I shared this. I said, "Thank you all for being so kind, open, transparent, vulnerable, fun, supportive, and encouraging for each other and for me." I think that's one of the special things about it is that once we get there, it's like those walls and the defense mechanisms and all of that stuff that we kind of put up as armor, it goes away. That is what makes this event so magical. There were so many acts of kindness, like from carpooling, gifting things to each other, gifting things to me, donating VIP dinner ticket because someone couldn't attend and someone else didn't buy one. Even something like that was really special to see. Maureen lost her Apple Pencil cap and someone else had a backup or like an extra and they gave it to her. Jessica was teaching breakout attendees how to remove the TikTok logo from videos. People were gifting door prizes because they couldn't travel home with them. Or again, like Catesy, it didn't fit her business model, so she gave her door prize to April Peterson. I mean, I can go on and on. Last but not least, I want to share what a Master Shopkeepers member said, because it's time for me to wrap this up. And even then, I don't think I've really truly conveyed how incredible this event is. But I'm going to wrap up this episode because it's time. And this quote, what this person shared, meant a ton to me. So this is how we're going to wrap it up. She said, "I've been meaning to post this somewhere, and I am picking here. As someone who attended both retreats, I just wanted to mention how very impressed I was with how the content and overall vibe of the retreat leveled up. The increase in content was something I had in as a want after the first one, and you delivered that in spades. At dinner and again at the mingle, I stood to the side for just a minute, observing and seeing so many connections being made. It was so great. Anyways, really amazing work, and it appeared effortless, which is a lot for an event that I know is so far from effortless. I am humbled to be part of a group with so many badass women doing their amazing things, and thank you for creating the space for us to come together. See you again, whatever year you decide." So, of course, I could share more, but I don't have time. There's no way I can possibly capture the essence or all of this retreat has to offer in one podcast episode. However, the proof was in the survey results. I announced prior to this year's retreat that I would not be hosting one in 2023, so I could focus on some other projects. But I want attendees to know that I hear you loud and clear. You want this back in 2023, and you want an additional day to connect. Not only are you asking for this again in 2023, some of you were asking for 3 days or the option to pay for an additional day. I have to say, I have not made any decisions yet. This involves multiple conversations and conversations that I still haven't had yet. So I have to have those conversations with people before I can say whether it will happen or not. But I am considering it when I wasn't really considering it before. What's really important to me, and part of what I've done this past month on this break, is sit back and take a look at all the parts and pieces of Savvy Shopkeeper. I do and offer a lot, but what I want to focus on in 23, I want to focus on the things that truly give people results. And that means some things have to go and some things will stay. And the retreat, I know, because I have more to share on this, and maybe I'll share it in the future, I know it gives you results. So it would be foolish of me not to consider offering it again. If truly my focus is to serve shopkeepers and to serve shopkeepers with things that give them results, like transformations, big transformations, it would be foolish of me not to consider this again for 2023. So I'll just leave it at that. I will be sure to share any kind of announcements in my newsletter, in group membership, and of course here on the podcast in the future once that decision is made. If you want to see the show notes to this episode, and I highly recommend it, you're going to want to see all of the pictures, and you're going to want to follow and visit all of these incredible business owners who contributed to this event. You'll visit my blog at savvyshopkeeper.com/episode 143. I know I've said this several times, but I feel like I could say so much more, and maybe it'll come in the form of other podcast episodes, but that's the gist of it. It's amazing. It's incredible. There's nothing else quite like it. And that was what I was striving to do when I hosted the first retreat. And I hope that my plan is that I'll constantly and always serve in an incredible way at this in-person retreat or any in-person event that I offer in the future. Until the next episode, be savvy and boss up.
Message and data rates may apply or consult a doctor prior to use. Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Call pound 250 with the word CARE to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Call pound 250 with the word CARE right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Call pound 250 with the word CARE. That's pound 250 with the word CARE. Pound 250 and CARE.